All right, welcome back, and this video is going to be how I installed my Carli 2.5/3.5 backcountry kit. As you can see, it's on, it's good to go. This video is going to go over the step-by-step process we took to get this thing installed. So, been really busy, extremely busy. So this day, when we installed it last night and this morning, just work has been hell. So, pardon, you'll see probably through the video how I'm running around like crazy, but we got it captured, we got it done, and it drives damn nice. So, enough talking, let's get into it. All right, here we are. I'm gonna film this, install this Carli kit, 2.5, 3.5 inch backcountry. I'm gonna switch this thing around here in a second and show you what we're working on. All right, first things first, I did a sequence of operation of how we want to, or installation, how I'm going to disassemble and reassemble everything. Kind of just went through and figured this is the best way. So if you want to pause that, take a look. That's how we're gonna run this thing. I'm gonna jump right into this here. So first things first. Now we're gonna start with the remove the tires. We've got the front axle resting on some jack stands, so we'll start with removing the brake lines. All right, we're starting off with the brake lines. We got the right side done already. We're moving on to the left side, driver's side. So we're just disconnecting the ABS line right here, and we're gonna disconnect the bracket, pull this vacuum off, vacuum hose off, and then we'll get to that spot in a sec. I'm just gonna talk about setting up the truck in a proper lift points and setup for this. Since we are gonna droop the axle down, we are gonna use the lift. But if you didn't have that lift in your garage and you want to do this without one, then still kind of same concept. You're just gonna have to lift the truck and support the axle with some jack stands or some jacks. So this is the start of it here, and you know, we'll be able to use the lift to raise the truck up and down when it comes to pulling out the springs and all that good jazz. So we'll get to it, get these brakes done, and we'll be good to go. Yeah, all right, so we just disconnected the permanent, or the hard brake line to the flexible line. We'll end up pulling this out right here. All right, this right here is the passenger side. You want to make sure that when you refasten this, you got a little clip that goes in and holds everything in place. That comes from Carli there. This is the new Carli line. You want to make sure it routes around and touches the frame, comes down. We're gonna leave that bracket loose for now. We just screwed that back in, and then we have our ABS and all that. We're gonna secure that all later. Leaving it loose for now, so when we pull this out, it doesn't get in the way. And we are down, and we have used the 2 crush washers in there, and this is how it routes right up and over. Pretty simple. You know, once you pull it apart, you'll get the gist. But the big thing is to make sure that that this is touching the frame and not sticking out in the wheel well. All right. Dripping fluid. We're catching it. Or are we? No, we're not. Oh well. All right, brake lines are swapped out and hanging. We're gonna move to the shocks. That's the next step here. We're gonna just pull just the front shocks off right now. We're not gonna replace them yet, but we're gonna get these shocks pulled out. We got a 21 millimeter at the top. We're gonna start. All right, we're using some pliers, some channel locks, or some Milwaukee's right in there. It's real skinny to get a wrench in. Got that, and we're gonna throw a battery powered ratchet on there now that we broke it loose. All right, now we'll undo, well, we just did undo the lower shock mount, 19 millimeter socket, ripped right out. All right, shock's off. We're on the other side, knocking it out. And that's it. Just know, getting in and getting that 21 millimeter loose. It's tied all the way. Well, this one was. It was tied all the way up all the threads. So I'll end up using a ratcheting wrench. It was easy. Just how tight it is in there. Couldn't get the battery ratchet in there. So food for thought. 21 millimeter and 19 down there. Okay, we are now at number 8. Remove sway bar links and sway bar. So we're gonna go over and get working on this thing. We'll get the end links off, take those off first, and then move over to these brackets. I heard they're pretty damn tight, so we'll get the sucker removed. Get these nasty little end links off. All right. Sway bars off. Here we go. And that's that. Replace this with the good old Torsion one. What we've been waiting for the past 5 months. Easy enough. Moving on to the next task. All right, we're moving on to the track bar. So we're going to, I'm going to set the track bar first, then we'll remove and install the new all at one time. So we'll swap 11 and 10 if you want to. So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna clean the threads here. We've got it pulled out, got it in a vise. I think Carli has a good, or CJC has a good video on this, but we're gonna set this thing to spec, 37 and some inches here. Put some red Loctite on it and go from there. All right, we got the cleaned up. We got some Loctite on that sucker, and we're gonna go 37 and 5/16. So we got to go in 3/4 of an inch. All right, we measured it. We're at 37 and 5/16. I just put my knife in right here. Had it come out in the middle, kind of as a marker. I mean, we're within I'd say less than a 16th, right where we need to be. And we got our crow's foot on right here. We're torquing this thing down to, we're setting the torque wrench to 200. We're gonna use our crow's foot attachment there and crank it down. All right, now we just wanna make sure we got this thing nice and straight. We got a perpendicular, this thing. Make sure this thing's level. So this wants to sit, you know, flat, and this wants to sit up and down. So it's gonna take 2 of us. So yeah. Be back with you in a sec. All right. Trying to keep it level.
It's moving.
Of course it's moving. Yeah, just kidding. All right, we relocated that to hold it nice and tight because it kept spinning the bar. So here we go. Jeez. All right. Boom, we're good. All right, we're starting on the track bar here. And 30 millimeter. Start off the top, get that loose, then we'll go down and work that ball joint. All right, get this ball joint out. We're gonna have to use the puller. Not a big deal. So we're getting that in place right there. 17 millimeter, pull the sucker right out, and we'll be in business. Just keep in mind where you place your jacks. This one's kind of in the way, but we're working around it. And obviously, if you're redoing the radius arms, you wouldn't want the jacks here either. Probably go on the axle. Well, I'd probably put one on the axle there and then one under the diff. So let's get the sucker pulled out. How is it? Is it tight?
It can't.
All right. There's the 2 bars together, and you can see, line them up. Not much difference. Not much difference at all, huh? I don't know. I don't know if the Tremor comes with a different track bar or not, but we're swapping this one out. All right. All right. We're getting ready to get this thing, the track bar on. You come with 2 of these. This is going to be towards the front. This is towards the back. Thin one, front. Thick one, back. All right, we're good. Let's get this thing in place. Okay, we got the track bar up on driver's side. It's in there loose right now. Used a rubber mallet. A little bit of persuasion, got it where it needed to. All right, we're just using the pick to get these spacers in place around the rubber gasket. Should have done that earlier, but we didn't. So now we're doing it now. Don't forget. All right, we got her in, made sure it's all the rubber seals around the spacers. We're going to torque this thing down to 250 foot-pounds with a 33 millimeter. All right, torque it down to 250. Well, I'm gonna set this down because I can do it one-handed. Here you go, you hold that. Boom. All right, here, let go. Maybe next time. All right, we got this sucker on. It's at an angle because we're full droop right now. We don't have something that torques to 407 foot-pounds or whatever the hell Ford wants us. So we just did a bunch of cheater bars and almost killed our half-inch drive breaker bar. So as tight as you possibly can go. Check it again. I'm gonna mark it with some paint and I'll check it at 500 miles, see where we're at. All right, we're gonna raise the truck up to free the springs, remove them, and we may just turn on the truck, free up the steering a little bit. All right, let's get these springs out. All right, well, you guys came too late. You missed us pulling these out. They came right out. We got a rubber gasket over there. Everything's good to go. So, all we did was we lowered these jack stands right here enough to where we could get the coils out. But you really want to make sure you got your track bar in place to hold your suspension together. And we're not doing radius arms, so boom, put the new ones in, and we're going to work that shock tower bracket for the reservoirs. All right, we torqued it down. Put this little rubber guy back in. He just snaps right in. That's all she wrote. Fancy. All right, pump stops are replaced. Now we're gonna put the new springs with the reservoir bracket. Here we go. Let's do a comparison. Oldie and the new guys. Here you go. A lot different. All right, let's get to it. All right, we got the first coil spring in. Don't forget your bracket. And there we go. I think we're gonna leave it to where it says, you know, Carli Ford 2.5 right there. We should be good to go. It's tight, man, it's tight. The vacuum line on the diff is stretched to the max, so let's get the other side. All right, so this taper here, what we want to do is we want to insert up there first with everything and then get it in and slide it in this way. All right, it's a pain. I'm gonna try lowering just a little bit. Oh, yeah, that's gonna help you big time. You're in now. You're in. There we go. A little finesse. I think we're good. That's it. Beautiful. That coil's gonna sit where it sits, right?
Yeah.
That's it. All right. Coil's gonna sit where it sits. That's what she said. All right. All right, moving on. Install torsion sway bar. All right, we're on it. So we're gonna get these bushings in the bracket, and then we're gonna drive them on the spline here. And that's gonna get this basically set up to go to fit up into the truck. So I know we're gonna leave 1.25 inches is what you want to leave sticking out here, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, first one, got a piece of wood down there. Mallet this thing on, and once that spline comes out, we're gonna use this socket and slam it down 1.25 inches more. All right, we got it down to 1 inch. Inch and a quarter on the money, right there. Boom. Good. All right, repeat. Do the same side. Make sure it's even and even Steven right there, and you'll be good to go. Okay, next we got this sucker ready to go on. We're gonna take some studs out where the old sway bar was, and those will pop right off with some clips, and then we'll install these guys. Prep it for this torsion bar. Okay, now that we got these little brackets in, we're gonna go ahead and throw the bar up. Long side to the rear, short side to the front. All right, we're gonna hand tighten these for now. And since it's gonna take 2 people, I'm gonna stop recording. We got it one in there. You're gonna probably wanna pick to realign that, the bolt up with the actual threaded bracket behind the frame there. So, and using a 9/16 deep socket is a great way to get your fingers around that bolt. So, little tricks of the trade there. All right, so kind of got ahead of myself here, forgot to film this part, but we installed this bracket with the torsion bar in it. And so we hammered the spline on, and you kind of, it's great to have 2 people on this. Make sure it's lined up. You can see if the spline's off, it could screw everything up, but it goes way off. I mean, it'll fluctuate 3 or 4 inches here next spline. So it's pretty easy. Once you get it lined up with the other one, you're good to go. Okay. So what we've done here, we get it in. You hammer it until you got a 1/16 of an inch from the spline to the outside face of this bracket, and then you put on the large washer, the crush washer, or lock washer, and the 3/8 bolt. And then what we're doing now is we're torquing it down. Driver's side 10, passenger side 10, 15, 15, 20, 20, and I think we're on 25 now, right? Yeah. And that's it. We torque it down to 25, and we'll double check each side, but it's important that you alternate and preload that torque all the way to 25 evenly from left to right, whatever, if that even makes freaking sense. It's been a long day. But yeah, here we go. All right, here's the other side. So this is a 9/16, and this is a 9/16, and that's a 9/16. So this is all 9/16 here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get a 9/16 wrench and a socket and get that one down. Both sides, we're gonna pinch this thing to 35 foot-pounds. All right, now we're torquing, going back to the spline bar there, the brackets, and we're torquing that down to 40 foot-pounds. Previously, we just hand tightened them to 5. And so pretty much scores away the torsion portion of install of this. Okay, end links. Here we go. So one thing, look, these are loose. If you can move them by hand, we have to undo the set screw, tighten this down to where these are kind of difficult to move, reset the set screw. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Go from there. All right, and I'm gonna use some blue Loctite on these set screws here because, well, you over torque them and it ruins your day. So make sure, go blue Loctite your set screws throughout. All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna install down here, the bottom first, thread it a little bit, and then we're gonna bring the top in. Make sure your grease points are accessible. Kind of gotta grease that every 5,000 miles. So we're gonna get to it. We got that in place. Since it's a full droop right now, probably more than full droop, we are going to these are at an angle, so we're gonna go ahead and use a 5/16 up here and a 11/16 to tighten this sucker down. Hold the stud in place, tighten it down, boom, boom, and I'll be back with the torque specs. But that's what it looks like so far. Sick. All right, got the grease gun. I'm greasing. He's torquing these things down right now. You can see, making it happen. We're gonna torque these down to 30 foot-pounds. I think. Gotta double check the spec. All right, we got these things torqued down to 30. Greased them up. Looks like, is this Zerk fitting? Looks like it's squirting out there. They're tight. But yeah, we greased them up, they're ready to go, and now we're gonna move on to the shocks. Let's get them in. All right, we're getting the shock in. If you follow the directions that Carli gives you, just doesn't work. Stickers definitely don't line up. I know they say don't worry about it, but we're gonna mess around with it here and see what we can do. Not the end of the world, but yeah, that works just like that. All right, so we just angle. Yeah, we'll just angle it there. That's a good look. Perfect. All right, we'll get these things tightened up. All right, we just, instead of compressing the shock, we just put it in, just droop the suspension. It's easy because we got the jack stands. It's really helpful to do it that way. We got that, and we'll torque that thing down to 100, and then we'll get working at the top. All right, for the top, we're just going to torque that down till it preloads the bushings. Kind of use your best judgment there. You don't want to overdo it, and you don't want to underdo it. All right, just make sure you angle this correctly. Double check to make sure your resis are where you want them, and by swinging the shock left and right, you can go from there. So keep that in mind. Ours is going to be about this location here on the passenger side. All right, we got the shock in place. That's where I have it right now. It's pretty flush here, and it starts sticking out, but that's where this sits. So, you know, mess around with it. It's easy to move around, undo the 2 screws up here, or hose clamps, and this thing spins. So I can adjust that later on when I pull everything off at 500 miles. Did that, and we went ahead and torqued down this new bracket. And then we ran our vacuum line through it back in place. And then I'm probably just gonna cut this little clip. That used to clip in the old steel bracket here, but then I don't know, I think we're just gonna zip tie this here to 2 spots. Boom, boom, call it a day. The ABS, and we still gotta bleed, but I've got a few more things to do here, but there it is, and repeat on the other side. All right, now that we have the shocks in place, that's kind of our limit strap to keep the suspension from fully falling out from the truck. So we're gonna get up and we're gonna get that steering stabilizer replaced with the new badass one. All right, but yeah, so far that's where we're at. You can see everything's kind of shifted. Just, you know, it droops. And that's where it is, but obviously when we compress it back up, it should line back up and drive straight, in theory. All right, but this is where we're at so far. Pretty sweet little setup here. I really got to watch these hoses. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of how they're sitting, but I'll keep you posted. All right, let's get it done. Okay, we installed the front shocks. I said shocks, I got rear shocks somewhere. Yeah, right here. Okay, but instead of doing the caster shims, we're just gonna do the steering stabilizer first, then we'll move to the caster shims. Go from there. All right, got that stabilizer off the frame right here. You can see it's hanging. Now we're gonna have the drag link here. The word on the street is it's a pain in the ass to get out. I don't know, you tell me. So we're gonna work at that. We could use a puller, a sledgehammer. Don't hit my... All right, now we're gonna get the steering stabilizer on. Got the hardware, we already got the bracket and the wedge up there. Well, bracket's in our hands, but there that is. Put that in, and we'll go from there. All right, we got it in place. Torque it down to 40 pounds per square inch. No, pounds per foot. That's right, foot-pounds. Whatever you want to call it. Okay, so we got blue Loctite on both ends of the stabilizer. Okay, this is the original bolt from the original stabilizer. Put a little on that, and that's going to go towards the frame. And that'll go on the other side. And the drag link. All right, we got the drag link portion installed. Do it from here, not here. This could break, so you want to use a 3/4 on that guy. All right, we're gonna go and throw it up on the frame now with the existing bolt and the provided spacers. All right, we push this sucker in. Make sure you have your wheels turned to the left. And we pushed it in, threaded up the existing bolt. Now we're gonna torque it down to 30 pounds with the 15 mil. Now we're gonna work on the caster shims. Gonna remove this castle nut. It's got a cotter pin. We already got it out. We'll get that up, bring it up, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube on how to do this one and all that. So these should come out pretty simple. We'll move it up here and then slam it with the socket until this rattles loose. Pull it out, put the new one in, and move on. Torque it back down. So, let's get to it. All right, we couldn't get the socket in because it was touching the coil there, or the spring. So we used just the ball peen. Smacked it a couple times, came right out. There we go, let's put the new one in. All right, we cleaned this sucker out, and we're gonna put these lines are gonna go directly towards the back right here. Or smack this thing in. All right, we got it almost seated. One thing you could do, put this in before you put your coils in, and the springs will get in your way if you don't. So much easier if you do it this way. So my sequence, I'm gonna adjust it at the end of the video. All right, 69 foot-pound torque on that guy, and they do that, I think, to, well, because it's 69, geez. No, so you can spin the sucker a little bit more to get that cotter pin back in. So they go 69 to give you that extra foot-pound to figure your life out. Okay, shim is in. We just did a 1/16 of a turn, if that. Just got it in place. Put the old pin back in place. If you have new ones, go for it. I don't have that size on hand right now, so just reuse the old one. Let's move over to the next side. Okay, caster shims are in, pointed towards the rear. That little line, we're good to go. Basically, we got to strap the ABS lines down. Everything else is tightened here. Vacuum lines are in. We cranked the new bracket down, and obviously you've seen everything else is done. Shocks, again, this is how I see it on most vehicles, and even on CJC's videos with the rough country, or the, not rough country, back country. It's how they had the reservoirs mounted, so we're good there, I think. We'll see. And now we just gotta bleed the brakes. Come over here, we'll bleed them, and before we do that, I think we're just gonna do the rears real quick. Get those rear shocks off and replace them. Lower it down, and then take this thing for a test drive after we bleed the brakes. All right, rear shocks. Right, for the 2017 and up, they use the 14mm crush sleeve for the lower portion, so we'll press that in. And then we got to put these brackets on. I'm gonna kind of fit. I think I'm gonna go right below, right there. Wedge it, not to make sure you don't kink the cable, but get this going. Okay, passenger side, reservoir facing away from the axle. We're going to use the existing hardware, torque it down to 35 foot-pounds. Pounds-foot. Tomato, tomato. Torque these suckers down to 35 foot-pounds. All right, driver's side, we got it in. Get to reach up under the spare tire. That was fun. But we got it, torque it down. All right, bleed the brakes. Having fun. It's taking a while. But not sucking any air. About ready to refill this thing in a second. But yep, we're doing the passenger side first, and we'll move over to the driver's side after we get this thing good to go. Brakes are bled, and we are coming down, got the wheels on. Let's watch everything shift, maybe. If I'm like, there it goes, it's shifting. Look at those. Let the whole suspension sit right where it needs to go. And we're probably gonna have to drive it a little bit. It shifted pretty good. All right, there it is. We got some room now. All right, we're gonna torque the wheels down and get right back to it. All right, I'm gonna do a measurement here on the front. Yeah, it was my bad. I did not measure the truck before I did the kit. We were way too busy working, but this is where we're at here. So you saw that. You can pause it if you want to see the measurement, but just to give you an idea, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me, but some people want to know before they go. Yeah, that's what we got. So I think, what is it, just 9.5 inches right there. I think before, shoot, I would say it was about 6 inches, 7, about 7, I don't know. And here's the rear. So I know there was somebody who wanted to know what the rear was. Damn wind. So we're at a total of 40, just under 45 inches there. So 45 inches. Definitely got a little bit more here. Oh shoot, what are we, 9? Just under 10 inches. So an inch higher in the back. That's it right there. Boom. Look at the way she sits. I'm gonna say that's a win in my book. Definitely feel it getting up. I know the front's gonna sag a little bit. It's gonna settle, and we'll probably lose probably a ½ inch once it settles. But here we go. Everything's installed. Took it for a test drive. Needs an alignment. Steering, drive straight. Steering wheel's off just a little. So. But man, the transition coming into my driveway with that sway bar is night and day, I will tell you. But that's where we sit, right there. Let me know what you think.